Good morning everyone and welcome to this week's newsletter. This week our senior students started their VCE exams. Now most students aren't fond of tests and examinations, and most staff and parents feel similarly about surveys. But both tests and surveys are an important tool in individual and school improvement. At St Joseph's we test students each year from grade 6 to year 10. And the data we get from that allows us to identify and meet individual and collective student needs. And of course NAPLAN tests in year 7 and 9 allow us to compare our results with state and national figures. In this newsletter I'd like to focus on the results of some recent testing and some surveys. Firstly, NAPLAN and AAS testing. We recently received NAPLAN results from our 2023 Year 7 and Year 9 students, and I'm really pleased to report that the Year 9 results are excellent. They show that in reading, writing and numeracy, our students are performing better compared to state and national averages than they did in Year 7. And this is really important because it tells us that our students are improving in these areas at a faster rate than students in other schools. It tells us that our teaching strategies and interventions are being effective. One of the highlights was Year 9 numeracy, which was 20 points higher than the state median. These results are particularly affirming of our Waterford and Westcourt teachers and program. It is worth noting that we haven't seen similar growth or achievement in spelling, grammar and punctuation, and these things remain a work in progress. The NAPLAN results for our current Year 7s are similar to those of our current Year 9s when they were in Year 7. Their reading levels are equal to state and national averages for boys and slightly lower than the average for girls. Our students' writing, our Year 7 students' writing is lower than the state average, as is spelling, grammar and punctuation. Their numeracy is lower than state average for boys. However, the progress made by our current Year 9 group gives us every confidence that we can produce similar performance improvements over the next 2 years. These results are testament to the tireless efforts of our teaching staff, the supportive environment we've cultivated, and the efficacy of interventions and programs at these year levels. Earlier this year, families will have completed Maxus surveys, as did students and staff, and we received the results of these recently. The Maxus survey reports on a range of important measures and allows comparison of any that have changed over the last 3 years. College staff and leadership will be reviewing this data in coming months to help us improve student outcomes. The Maxus data set is huge, but I'd like to emphasise a couple of things that really stood out. These included that our results are above average of all Max schools in every domain, and that almost 60% of students feel that their teachers have rigorous expectations of them. At the same time, however, students report that they still have strong relationships with their teachers, and this reaches its highest point in Year 12. Another survey that's used in the school we use to improve staff performance. Teachers have students in their classes provide information on their view of what's happening in class during terms 1 and 3. Their perception, if you like, of teacher performance. And these are currently being used in annual review meetings between teachers and members of college leadership. Another survey done earlier this year was the EREA Renewal Survey, and it was also accompanied by some interviews. This happens every 5 years as part of our renewal process, and staff, students and parents were surveyed or interviewed by the renewal panel, which spent 3 days in the college. The final report of this renewal was presented to the College Advisory Council at the October meeting, which was held last week. It's also been placed on the college website. The renewal report includes acknowledgement of strategic achievements since the previous school renewal, a range of commendations and some recommendations for the next 5 years. I'm pleased to report that all the commendations strongly affirmed the quality of education being offered here at St Joseph's. In addition to affirming excellence in learning outcomes, the report emphasises the welcoming, safe and inclusive environment here and the preeminence of gospel values and social justice in our day-to-day operation. The recommendations include the challenge to us to strengthen our current learning framework, further develop relationships with education and community organisations, further enhance our contemporary learning environment, including IT provision, and maintain and improve our safe, inclusive and diverse culture. And finally, to enhance our current strong connection with our Catholic and Edmund Rice traditions. This renewal report is enormously affirming, and I'm very grateful to everybody who contributed to the process. And finally, the City of Greater Geelong is seeking input regarding safety upgrades around the Minerva Road Church Street intersection close to our Westcourt campus. The safety of our students is paramount, and we welcome the commitment to improvements in safety infrastructure in this area. On the website, or as part of the written version of this newsletter, there is the opportunity for families to provide feedback to the City of Greater Geelong using a QR code and adjacent link. I hope you'll take this opportunity.